Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Wednesday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at the forecast for our upcoming atmospheric river, and we'll also take a look at the system that just moved through and a brief update on Hurricane Melissa, and we'll take a look at the extended forecast as well. So starting here with the satellite imagery, you can see our front from last night is all the way over eastern Washington, now pushing out toward Idaho and Montana, and you can see in its wake we are mostly clear across the region. We do have some areas of showers moving through the area as we go through this morning. Those will diminish as we go through today, and we should end up having a mostly sunny day today and tomorrow, so that's pretty nice to see. So taking a look at the radar here, you can see we have some of those showers moving onshore, but not too many. Those are really going to diminish somewhat soon. You see the front draped across parts of eastern Washington, moving off to the east quickly. This is a pretty quick system, but it did bring about a half inch of rain to most of the area. Now taking a look here, this is Hurricane Melissa. You can see that right now it is exiting eastern Cuba, and you see this deep convection starting over parts of the Bahamas. You see Florida up here. This is Cuba right here, and it's moving off the east part of Cuba there after a devastating landfall in Jamaica as the second tied as the strongest Atlantic hurricane ever to make landfall in history, and then made landfall as a Category 3 storm, I believe, over Cuba, and now is moving up toward the Bahamas as a Category 2 storm. It will start to accelerate and move up toward Bermuda and then off into the Atlantic Ocean as we go to the next few days. So we're not done with this just yet over parts of the Caribbean, especially the Bahamas, but thankfully it is starting to accelerate and move further away. So now taking a look at our overall pattern, you see that trough that dug out over the area as we went through last night. That is that system that just moved through. And then look at this ridge that builds through the day today and then into tomorrow, and that keeps us nice and dry all the way through Thursday into Friday there. Then you see this atmospheric river signature right on the boundary between this incoming trough and this ridge we have over us. As we go through Friday night, that starts to move into the area, and then as we go through Saturday, the atmospheric river hangs up across western Washington and then moves out of the area by the time we get to Sunday. Brief ridge builds back in a little bit there on Sunday into Monday, but then we have our next trough and next systems moving into the area by the time we go into early next week. Now taking a look at the precipitation forecast, you can see that rain moving out of the area overnight, and by the time we get to about midday, we have mostly clear conditions across western Washington, a few showers lingering in the mountains and on the coast. By this evening, those diminish entirely. We are completely dry all the way through Thursday, and then into Friday, we're still dry across the lowlands until the afternoon when you start to spread some of these showers in. But the European model is showing potentially clear weather for areas south of Mount Vernon, not clear but not raining, so it will be cloudy but not raining, from areas south of Mount Vernon for trick-or-treating time there on Halloween. You can see it's raining on the north coast and starting to get toward the central coast there. By the time we get to about 11 p.m., there's a very well-defined boundary on the south side of that atmospheric river, and then by the time we get to 2 a.m., that starts to sag across western Washington, and that continues sagging south through Saturday. Those showers continue into Saturday evening and then diminish as we get into Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then we have a few showers on Sunday, but otherwise remaining dry. And then our next system moves into the area Monday afternoon and evening. And that will bring another round of rain and maybe some breezy conditions as well. So again, that timing is a little bit weird with the atmospheric river. It's been moving around a little bit, and we have to watch that closely over the next few days. We also have to watch the forecast for precipitation amounts because there is a little bit of discrepancy. You can see here on the left we have the European model, and it's showing basically areas Everett northward getting 1 to 1.5 inches of rain, from Everett southward getting about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and then the coast getting about 9/10 of an inch to an inch on the south and central coast, and then 1.5 to 2.5 inches on the north coast, with the Olympics and the Cascades getting 2 to 4 inches as usual. Now here on the right we have the national blend of models, and this is showing much more rain for the area with this atmospheric river, showing the lowlands from Everett northward getting again 1 to 1.5 inches of rain, but the Seattle lowlands, so from Everett southward through Seattle and Tacoma and Olympia down toward Portland, getting 1.5 to 2 inches of rain, which is a big difference from the European model. And you can see that the Kitsap Peninsula here gets 2 inches in this forecast, along with the entire coast getting 2 to 3 inches, and then the mountains getting up to 5 inches. So you can see just by looking at these, there's a big difference between the national blend of models here on the right and the European model here on the left. So we do have to watch these closely and see if we trend more toward one of these solutions or another, or if there remains a difference. So stay tuned for more on that. Taking a look at snow through Sunday, you can see maybe a little bit on Stevens Pass, but other than that inch or so up at Stevens, the snow is going to be relegated to higher elevations of the North Cascades, and that is due to the atmospheric river being on the warm side and keeping that snow level pretty high. So we're not really building up a snowpack yet, except in the North Cascades. So it's good to see that we're doing so up there, but it would be nice to get that going across the rest of the mountain range as well. I'm taking a look at wind gusts. You can see with the atmospheric river likely getting gusts of 35 to 45 miles per hour on the coast and in the northwest interior, maybe a few places near 50 miles per hour for Camano and Whidbey Islands as usual. Other than that, 25 to 35 miles per hour across the Puget Sound lowlands, maybe some gusts up toward 40 in the backcountry of the Cascades. And then taking a look at precipitable water. This is amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, and you can see how this atmospheric river really a fire hose of moisture there. As we go through Friday night, it starts to push south into western Washington, moving very slowly. Then it moves through the area relatively quick for an atmospheric river, so a pretty progressive one. And you can see how that just slowly sags south as we go through Saturday evening down into Oregon. But you can see it's definitely an atmospheric river. There's some pretty deep moisture in here, so it really depends on how long it takes to move across western Washington when the onset of that precipitation is, and how long that precipitation stays across the area, and that's what's going to determine how much rain we get if we trend more toward that lesser rain scenario with the European model or that much bigger rain scenario with the national blend of models. Now taking a look here at max temperatures. So this is Wednesday's highs. You can see across the Puget Sound lowlands, highs in the upper 50s today. Pretty nice day out there. Some areas remaining in the mid 50s. Then as we go through Thursday, we're going to have those highs likely in the low to mid 50s across the region. You can see some offshore flow and some warming along the foothills and then along the coast, but most areas remaining in the low to mid 50s there on Thursday, even though it will be mostly sunny. So enjoy that sun. Then going into Friday with the atmospheric river to our north, we have highs increasing a little bit because of that warm flow associated with the atmospheric river. Seattle northward highs in the low to mid 50s, Seattle southward highs in the upper 50s to low 60s. Then as we go into Saturday, we get a little bit more of those warm conditions with the atmospheric river. Highs across the region in the mid 50s to low 60s. Look at eastern Washington, some areas in the upper 60s out there with the atmospheric river. And then going into Sunday, we get the time change, and we have highs drop to the low to mid 50s across western Washington, maybe a few areas in the upper 50s around Olympia. And then going into Monday of next week, there you can see highs remain in the mid 50s there. So, and that does kind of play out well with this. There are temperatures going into November 3rd to 7th, so going into the first week of November there. You're looking at highs being a bit above average across, or temperatures overall, sorry, being above average across western Washington there and across basically the entirety of the central and western United States at large there. So Washington included in this, slightly above average temperatures there through the first week of November. But take a look at that precipitation signal. We're definitely going to be staying wet across the region with an above average signal showing up all the way out to the end of the first week of November. And taking a look at that here, this is the European model ensemble that ran last night. You can see our system that came through last night right here. Then our atmospheric river shows up right here around Saturday. But then you can see after that, the ensembles showing a lot more rain. And by the end of the forecast period, all 50 of the European ensemble members have CTAC getting anywhere from 3.5 to 10 inches of rain. Of course, some of those ones on the higher end are definitely outliers. But the average that you're seeing right here is an additional 6 inches of rain by the time we get to mid-November. So definitely some active weather coming up. Of course, November is our most active month overall across the Pacific Northwest. Year after year, that has been confirmed, and so we have to watch very closely to see what happens across the region as we go into our stormiest month. So stay tuned for more on that over the next few weeks, and we'll see how that verifies. And be sure to check out the Western Washington Weather merch store. Got some nice t-shirts and long sleeve shirts and hoodies and everything you could think of on here, so the link to that is in the description below. So thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe here to Western Washington Weather and join the Western Washington Weather Facebook group, and then follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. The links to all of these are in the description below, and be sure to subscribe. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.